whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people. Whose car are we gonna take?
Hello, thank you for joining us on the Nikki Medoro Show, live weekdays starting at noon Pacific time, or anytime you want to watch us on YouTube. So I want to first off thank our exclusive founding sponsor, Steve Moskowitz, who, by the way, I'll be going a little more in depth. Hopefully he has time. I sent him a warning about this article I saw, and I don't know if you guys saw in the Washington Post, about how they're telling us to wait to file our taxes, which is fine with me. A little inside baseball. I mean, I've never run my own business. Obviously, I've never done this before. There's a business aspect that is way above my pay grade. And so I am going to be using Moskowitz LLP to take this off my hands, but I haven't been able to do that yet. So it's still on my hands. And when he says, you know, you'll sleep better after talking about it, talking to us, I need it. I have so many things. I'm so stressed out. I missed a deadline already that I didn't know about because I've never done this before. So anyways, delaying filing our taxes totally sounds good to me. So Steve Moskowitz, thank you to our exclusive founding sponsor. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I may still be glitching a bit. 3 hours. 3 hours, people, I spent on the phone with Apple. And do you think we figured it out? No, we did not. We did not. So I'm going to have to let it go. I may freeze. Apparently the audio continues. So for those of us that just listen to the show, you won't notice anything. It's extremely distracting to me. So I'm going to be trying to ignore kind of the signal that tells me I might be glitching. I have to let it go. I spent way too much time yesterday focusing on this. It was getting me aggravated. The move, this is our new house that we rent, is literally on hold. I can't do anything else except try to figure out this connection problem because I am committed to putting on the show every day. So I do want to also say thank you to my friends in my personal life that have been trying to walk me through it. And to JR, I think you're here. Is this you? Because Matthew is back. Did you see him? Because we'll be talking about a Matthew McConaughey story. So JR, I don't know if this is you, JR, but it might be. JR is one of my viewers, and he's been reaching out to me on email, also trying to help. Maybe we could figure it out. I have literally tried so many things, and I consider myself pretty tech savvy. It's a mystery. It's an absolute mystery. So I hope to figure it out, and we'll get to it. But right now, I just have to ignore it. I apologize to the glitches. I apologize. I want the quality to be, but it's not going to be. So just deal with it. I'm going to deal with it. Yeah. And I can't get a new computer right now. There's just a lot of expenses that are flowing with the move, because if that's the answer, I'll do it. It'll be at the top of my list, but it's not happening right now. So pushing that aside, let's just continue the show the way we always do. And as always, please click a thumbs up. Okay. It's quick, it's easy, it's free, and it helps support the show in any way, because YouTube loves thumbs up. Every single show, click it once, just once, and it helps us out. I also want to say thank you to a bunch of people who have become new Patreon subscribers. If you're a new Patreon subscriber, thank you. We had one, and forgive me because I've been so distracted. I wanted to bring up some of the new names. I don't know if you want your name said, so I'm not doing that right now, but just became a $50 Patreon subscriber. Actually started, I think, at like $10 and bumped up their pledge to $50. Now, I know not everybody can do that, but again, it is a signal to me and to Kim when she slides on over from Mark Thompson show that we're doing the right thing and that you're enjoying it. I hope you love the type of show that we're putting on. I love talking about personal things. I love the emails that you guys send me, and obviously I share them if and when I can. And so I'm encouraged and I appreciate it, because honestly, when the back end stuff isn't working, I know that for these 2 hours we're together, and I hope that we're putting on a good show and that you're entertained. So thank you to everyone. Thank you to all our Patreon subscribers. There is the email or the website, thenikkimedoroshow.com. That's where our Patreon link is. Also links to the shows, the past shows that you can share with your family and friends to bump up our subscribers as well. Get your family and friends to subscribe as well. They don't have to listen every day, even though who wouldn't want to? But it really does help us out. The super chat is live. I know so many of you love to throw some dollars our way. We already have some donations. I'll be giving some shout outs, reading your comments as well. The $ below the live chat is how you do that. And again, you can send whatever amount you want to. And I know some people like PayPal. So there's the PayPal email address. We've gotten a few donations that way. thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. Almost done. Almost done. And then you can buy, I hung it up over here because again, I need to fix this whole thing. The Nikki Medoro Shop is where you can get t-shirts like this. I have coffee mugs that's not here right now, tumblers. We have hoodies, we have t-shirts, we have AirPod charging cases, not charging cases, but the cases to hold it. So just go to thenikkimedoroshop.com and support us that way and advertise the show that way. I love it. And also, do I still have the picture? I hope I do. Visit the Red Jacket Hello? Okay, can you guys hear me at all? Let's see. Okay, so you guys are not even gonna want to believe what I'm on right now. So I'm on my phone. Let me turn it this way, and that probably is better for you. Okay. I mean, I literally can't get on StreamYard, so we're just gonna try to we're gonna do this damn thing. I can't play any of this stuff. So we're waiting for Kim to hopefully hop on and she can save my butt for a little bit. But I'm giving it my best shot, people. I really, really am. This is on my phone. I don't really know if I'm going to be able to do this, but let's just see. At least until the phone works. Okay, so obviously I'm glitching a lot right now. I literally cannot get on the internet using StreamYard, so please forgive me. There's Kim. I don't even know if I can hear Kim.
You sound good to me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm on my phone, Kim.
What happened?
Okay. I don't it's gone from bad to worse, my friend. It has gone from bad to worse. So I am
Oh Lord, help us.
So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna you know what, Kim?
Mhm.
Women don't let us get them down, do we?
No,
okay?
we don't. No.
We do not. So
especially moms who get us done. We do not.
So the problem also is that I would share my show with you, except I can't get on my computer because my computer is not working. I apologize, guys. This is so unprofessional.
No,
this is
it just you know, there are some things we can't help. You have to not. What did I read a quote about not worrying about things that are out of your control. You just you have no control over it. You just can't let it worry you. Oh, you know what it was? I was reading quotes from this woman who was like 118 years old. I don't think she's with us anymore, but they were asking her about, you know, her longevity and words that she lived by. And one of them was, don't worry about things you can't control.
Yeah.
Always try to be happy when you can be happy, you know, choose happiness. And so it's about, for her, it was more about an outlook on life. And so I choose happiness in this moment, but you're not smiling. And I choose not to worry about things beyond our control. Oh no. Do you think you can reboot it?
Well, so I'm trying to. Now my computer is saying that my device is paused by my router, which doesn't make any sense because I did not do that.
You know what I think we should do? I think that I should maybe perhaps do some news.
Do some news. I'm going to figure something out on my
And then you reset, replug, whatnot. Yeah?
I'm down. I have really no choice. All right, I'll be right back.
I like it.
Love
it.
Do
that.
Love you guys.
We'll see you in a minute, Nikki Medoro. All right, so I haven't loaded any pictures, but news czar Kim McAllister, that's the thing. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Well, President Biden is pretty skeptical of Republicans insisting they don't want to cut Social Security or Medicare. While speaking in Wisconsin, the president claimed some Republicans want to sunset entitlements, naming Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson and Utah Senator Mike Lee. President Biden's remarks come after Republicans booed him, some of them did, during his State of the Union address when he made that same claim. He said, not all of you, some of you. Numerous states' attorneys want Mexican drug cartels to be classified as terrorist organizations. They made this request in a letter to President Biden and Secretary of State Antony Blinken. They said drug overdoses have killed scores of Americans and that these cartels are actually a national security threat. Ukrainian President Zelensky urging the United Kingdom now to provide his country with fighter jets to help in its war against Russia. Zelensky addressing Parliament during his first UK visit since Russia's invasion. In his speech, Zelensky thanked Britain in advance for powerful English planes, which he has repeatedly asked for. And Jeffrey Epstein's banks are trying to dismiss his victims' lawsuits against them. Some victims accusing JP Morgan Chase and Deutsche Bank of enabling the late financier's sexual abuse. The banks claim they didn't know about any allegations and they didn't actively further Epstein's sex trafficking. Be interesting to see what happens to all those quadrillions of dollars. The widow of slain journalist Jamal Khashoggi is asking the United States and the United Nations now for help in recovering her husband's electronic devices from the Turkish government. NBC News reporting Hanan Khashoggi believes a laptop, a tablet, and 2 cell phones that belong to the Washington Post columnist will reveal the vital details of her husband's murder, and she is working to take legal action against all parties responsible for her husband's death. And of course, Akron, Ohio is officially declaring today LeBron James Day. Mayor Daniel Horrigan making the declaration after James, who is from Akron, broke the record for the most points scored in the NBA. The basketball star reaching the milestone last night against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's see. I have any more? Oh no. Let's do this Walmart cookie story, because Walmart's lawsuit alleging its fudge mint cookies don't have fudge or mint is being dismissed. A judge threw out the proposed class action suit from an Illinois man who said the Great Value label cookies mislead consumers because they didn't have milk, fat, or mint ingredients. The judge said consumers don't typically expect fudge to contain milk fat. Do you? I expect if it says mint fudge that it's going to have some milk, fudge, or mint. I don't know. Got to hold people to standards, or they just keep taking all these, these digs at quality until finally what's on the package and what you get is absolutely not the same thing. The first trailer is being released for a new film titled Paint, starring Owen Wilson. He stars as Carl Nagel, Vermont's hit TV painter who is on top until a younger artist steals his spotlight. The film loosely based on TV icon Bob Ross and his show The Joy of Painting. Paint is set to debut on April 7th. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. If you need help with your taxes, Steve Moskowitz is the one to call at 888-TAX-DEAL or MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
I'm here. You hear me? You see me? I might be
I
glitching,
do.
but I'm going to ignore it.
You're a little low, but other than that, everything's good.
You mean my microphone is low?
Yeah, your volume.
Okay. As long as you can see me.
See and hear, sister. See and hear.
That's all I care about. Well, let's turn down the music and then maybe you can hear me better. Okay. We're just going to keep going. I am back. I appreciate all of you. We have some help hopefully coming, and let's just move on. So I want to squeeze in as much as I can. I also sent you the show rundown, Kim, just in case I have to abandon you again.
Excellent. Okay.
So coming up in about 20 minutes or so, we're going to speak with Emily Hoeven. Now, you'll remember her from Cal Matters. Mm-hmm. She's moved over to the Chronicle. She has an insane story about her first day at work. Now, mind you, with COVID and everyone working from home and everything like that, she was really excited to go into the Chronicle. And it's the San Francisco Chronicle. Huge day, right? There's a gun threat. And it impacts the entire first day of work. Oh, so she's going to tell us that story. And then she's going to get into one. And now, a reminder, she's also now an op-ed columnist. Okay. So we're gonna see a little bit or hear a little differently from Emily, because she's going to talk about one of my favorite topics, of course, which is housing. And a bunch of lawsuits were unveiled yesterday. So we'll dig into those. We'll see what they say, because we talked about housing before with the Bay Area Council and everything like that. This is just a bunch of, hot air lawsuits by a bunch of YIMBYs that want to build too much housing and we don't have room or water or what have you. Or is there some real teeth to this? And should these NIMBYs be kind of quaking in their boots a bit because they don't know what's going to happen? So that's coming up around 12:40. But I did want to get into, I had all of this stuff prepared. I wanted to get into the State of the Union. And I know that you've obviously been talking about it throughout the day.
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
Parts of it. I didn't sit down and watch the whole thing like I normally do, but I did watch large chunks of it. So yes.
So I shared this at the beginning before you came on, Kim. This whole debacle with my connection has literally consumed my life. So last night, I turned everything off, so I wasn't able to watch. But I was like, I'm going to catch it on the back end. I was looking on Twitter and kind of catching it, and I got the gist, right? And of course, you could read the speech and everything like that. I liked it. I will tell you this. and I was listening to some analysis as well. Biden loves it when the GOP are heckling him.
Yeah.
Did you see? There was a point where I think the damn guy lost 10 or was 10 years younger when they were heckling him, because I feel like his experience in Congress, he's just like, I have done this. Okay, go ahead, yell at me, you children. It's fine. And so I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. But who knew that Mitt Romney was going to be the hero none of us thought that we needed or anything? I want to show you this because this is a good kind of montage. You'll see the exchange between Romney and George Santos, the liar, George Santos. And it was a really well done kind of montage with him talking over it. And so here, hold on, let me show it to you right now. Wow, okay.
You said he's a sick puppy? What do you
No, I didn't say that to him then.
But that's what you say now.
Yeah.
Why did you want to say that to him?
I didn't expect that he'd be standing there trying to shake hands with every senator and the president of the United States. Given the fact that he's under ethics investigation, he should be sitting in the back row and staying quiet. He says that he embellished his record. Look, embellishing is saying you got an A when you get an A minus. Lying is saying you graduated from a college you didn't even attend. And he shouldn't be in Congress. And they're going to go through the process and hopefully get him out. But he shouldn't be there. And if he had any shame at all, he wouldn't be there.
Are you disappointed that Kevin McCarthy has not called on him to resign?
Yes.
You said he's a sick puppy?
Yeah, it was just so much fun to watch. George Santos really does have some gall, though, right? I mean, come on, man.
Have some
a little
humility,
bit, right?
some shame. Yeah.
But yeah, it was quite interesting.
You have to respect the Republicans who this is their own party, right? It behooves them to have those votes all lined up, but who take a stand against what's obviously wrong, right?
Yes, exactly.
So, like Liz Cheney and Mitt Romney, who shows that he has some character, some decency in him. And I think that when you see something like that, I applaud it. I may come down completely differently politically from him, but I have respect.
Absolutely. Exactly. I mean, it's just like with Liz Cheney and all of the, Adam Kinzinger, we can disagree philosophically about certain issues. And I might think your stance on a certain issue is repulsive, is insulting, is, backwards, whatever. I mean, fill in the blank. But there has to be this moment where we understand the difference between truth and lying. And I see here that we probably have maybe a conservative or whatever, Christ star. Look, everything Biden said last night was not a lie. Let's just talk, for instance, about the outrage over Social Security. Are you ready? Let's do that, Christ star, shall we? Okay, so let me share my screen because it's nice to talk about things and kind of have the receipts to go along with it. All right, so here we go.
Instead of making the wealthy pay their fair share, some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority.
True.
Let me give you.
I want he's getting off on this.
Contact my office.
Look at him.
I'll give you a copy. I'll give you a copy of the proposal.
There you go.
That means Congress doesn't vote. Well, I'm glad to see you. No, I tell you, I enjoy conversion.
I love it.
It means if Congress doesn't keep the programs the way they are, they'd go away. Other Republicans say, I'm not saying it's a majority of you. I don't even think it's even a significant, but it's being proposed by individuals. I'm not politely not naming them, but it's being proposed by some of you.
Well, let's name them, Mr. President. Shall we?
And then he said, call my office. I've got the proposal. I'm happy to show it to you.
Oh, yeah, because it's by this guy right here. If you want the receipts, Christ star, here you go. Because this is a member of the GOP. Let's go right here, shall we?
Recently put out
on Fox News, by the way,
to rescue America. Two of the big points of which are, quote, all Americans should pay some income tax to have skin in the game, even if a small amount. Currently, over half of Americans pay no income tax. It also says All federal legislation sunsets in 5 years. If a law is worth keeping, Congress can pass it again. So that would raise taxes on half of Americans and potentially sunset programs like Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. Why would you propose something like that in an election year?
Well, John, that's of course the Democrat talking point. It's a
No, it's in the plan.
I love it. He's like, no.
It's in the plan.
But here's this thing about reality for a second. First of all, let's talk about Medicare.
But Senator, hang on,
John.
So it's not a Democratic talking point.
Thank you.
It's in the plan.
Yes, it is.
And also in the plan, it says we ought to every year talk about exactly how we're going to fix Medicare and Social Security.
There's nothing wrong with Social Security. There's nothing wrong with Social Security. Do you want to see somebody explain it in a way that may make sense to people? If you're at your dinner table and you're trying to figure out how to talk back to somebody who's talking about doing away with something that we still pay every time we take a paycheck, right? It should go away. Really? Then stop taking it out of my damn paycheck if you want it to go away. One of my favorites, Katie Porter.
This is how much Social Security adds to our national deficit. Zero, nothing. Social Security is not debt financed. In fact, by law, you cannot use debt spending to fund Social Security. And in fact, we currently have over $2.9 trillion surplus. So, do we need to think about how to make Social Security as strong and as viable for future generations as we can? Absolutely. But it is nuts to try to blame Social Security and blame working Americans who pay for the program and suggest that Social Security is in any way responsible for the national debt. It simply is not.
It simply is not. Okay, so there you go. I mean, if we're going to talk about lying, Christ Star and others, let's call out the lying then. You know, if you believe that there was some sort of tech collusion going on, which we will talk about in the second part of the show because the hearing is today, and it's interesting. And it is not going, in my opinion, the way that I think GOP members were anticipating it, then be fair. If you think there's tech collusion, then you also have to point out the ways in which, let's just say, the former president was allowed to stay on the platform even though he told members of Congress to go back to where they're from and then change their own rules so that the president could stay on the platform. A Republican. Also talk about the fact that said platform that apparently works for the deep state was used to plan the insurrection. So if you're going to talk about one, Hunter Biden's laptop, then talk about the other. Because if you don't, then you're part of the problem. Okay, so that's all I'm asking. Just be fair. If lying is wrong, then call out lying no matter who is doing it. If Kamala Harris, if President Biden, whomever is not telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, call it out. I have no problem. See, I'm not beholden. I say this all the time just to remind all of you. Yes, I do lean left, okay? Because there's no way in hell I'm going to the right. Not with that. But I could see your side on some issues. But I am not beholden to Democratic lawmakers. They are not gods to me. They're not infallible to me. They do something wrong, call their ass out. I'm absolutely okay with that. Absolutely. Governor Newsom's wrong, call him out. If there needs to be an investigation of President Biden or Hunter Biden, do it. But if nothing is found, let it go. You know, fix whatever issues you have within the bounds of the law, and let's move on to the real issues at hand. So yeah, this whole tech, it's really interesting. Did you hear the power went out in the middle of the hearing for like a couple seconds? And so, you know, everyone's like, oh my God, it was a couple of seconds, but still added a bit of drama to the whole entire thing. But really interesting, you know, persuasive arguments about, was it wrong for Twitter to kind of pull that New York Post article for a day or so? They admitted it was wrong. And I always add this caveat when we talk about Hunter Biden's laptop. We know about Hunter Biden's laptop. We have known about Hunter Biden's laptop. It has not been hidden from the public at all. I think the problem that the GOP members have with Hunter Biden's laptop is it's not garnering the outrage they want it to, right? So it's like, why are you not more upset about Hunter Biden's laptop? Well, because there's no there yet, right? If there is, and there's an investigation and you actually find something, okay, but just saying X, Y, and Z happened and this could be the reason, not enough for Americans. Not to mention, got a lot of other issues we give a crap about other than Hunter Biden's laptop. So
can I bring up something super petty?
Oh, please. I love petty.
When did we start wearing evening gowns to
but Kristen Sinema's always had a weird wardrobe.
State of the Union. Now, I mean, this looks like she's going to a gala event, like an awards ceremony. She's got this.
She wants to be a fashionista.
Got a gown on here.
Mm-hmm.
This is the State of the Union address. It's professional attire. It's not a black tie event at the White House.
Professional, Kim McAllister. All right. I mean, does she have to wear a suit?
Well, whatever she usually wears to,
she
to
wears
work.
some crazy ass outfit.
Does she really?
Oh God. Just Google it. She'll wear she was being criticized for wearing what many consider schoolgirl type outfits, knee-high boots, kind of plaid sweaters. She has an eclectic kind of wardrobe.
Okay.
A lot of people definitely have said, she wants it for attention. Obviously, Kirsten Sinema is kind of that person in Arizona where she says she's a Democrat, but people are like, you're not really working with this lady. So yes, I think she's getting attention. Marjorie Taylor Greene with her goose-looking outfit that my husband called. I don't understand, except that you want attention, and that's fine. I mean, the president's getting all the attention. If you want your yells, your screams, your outfits, there's no rules, in my opinion. You're going to get attention, both good and bad. But yeah, and Mo, it's Kirsten Sinema of Arizona. That's who was wearing that yellow dress. I mean, she's okay. I don't know if she's an attractive woman, but she's okay. I'm not gonna shame a woman for whatever she wants to wear. But yeah, and then somebody was writing in, JR. Then there's Huckabee, and Huckabee's response. I hate speech responses. They are written in advance, and there was one line. Forgive me because I don't have it. They're like all the other side. I think this was actually the Spanish language speaker. So they're like, all the president does is criticize and doesn't work together. And then he starts to continue to criticize the president. I'm like, so politics as usual. And then Huckabee said something to the effect of, you have a choice between normal and crazy. Yeah, no crap. Like, you're the crazy though. I don't. Yeah. She really read the room with that, but it was absolutely.
What did she say? She's banning the word Latinx from her state?
Because on the list of issues that are important to Americans, whether there's an X at the end of the word to be inclusive, and other people are saying it's ridiculous. I honestly don't have an opinion about it. I care not even a little. And this is speaking as a partly Hispanic woman. I could not care less about whether there's an X at the end of it. But they choose these issues to make us feel like it's really important, and it's not, in my opinion. I mean, maybe it's important to you. I'm not, you could choose your own, hierarchy of needs and wants and desires. It's just not. All right, we're still waiting for Emily Hoeven, of course, with the Chronicle to join us. Again, we're going to be talking about her first day at the Chronicle.
And what a day it was.
Also, in the second part of the show, I do want to talk about the tech collusion hearing underway. And when Steve Moskowitz joins us, I do want to get into this article that was in the Washington Post about whether or not you should wait to file your taxes. Now, apparently with the stimulus payments, the IRS is saying, hey, can you hold off? And I was sharing, Kim, before we brought you on, I'm supposed to be doing all this business financing stuff that I've completely slipped by the wayside because I've been a bit distracted, and two, I've never done this before.
Sure.
And so I was saying, before we brought you on, I'm like, I need Steve. Because I had to postpone my meeting last month with Steve because of my daughter's surgery. Then Steve went on his fabulous vacation, which of course he's entitled to. But I was like, oh, shoot. So I'm like, can we reschedule that meeting ASAP, please? Because I really, 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 really need help. So we're doing that. Again, give Steve Moskowitz a call. He is the guy that will help you sleep better. I'm waiting for that sleep between the move, this business, my connection issues, and all that crap. I need something taken off my plate. That's for sure. And so Steve Moskowitz is going to do that for you. All right. Waiting in the green room is the one and only Emily Hoeven. Now, you'll remember Emily. She was with Cal Matters, but now she is with the San Francisco Chronicle.
Yay.
Welcome to the show, Emily. First off, I just want to let everybody know I might be a little bit glitchy, but Kim is here. Yeah. I just moved, Emily. If you notice, the background is different.
Yes, I was noticing that. It looks nice.
Yeah, it's filled with boxes. I moved literally last weekend. So we're having a bit of connection issues. So forgive me, but hopefully this will go smoothly. First off, congratulations again. You are now, though, an opinion columnist, correct?
Yeah.
So what does that mean? How's that transition been a bit?
Yeah, no, it's I'm still trying to figure out, the nuances of that position. So it's especially interesting because my job at the Chronicle is part opinion columnist, where I'm basically going to be writing my own opinions, but with research and reporting to back that up and challenge it and whatnot under my own name. And then I'm also going to be writing editorials on behalf of the editorial board, which is a group of editors and reporters at the Chronicle. And through those discussions, we kind of take stances as an institution on certain candidates and issues and things like that. So those two things are, kind of complementary, but they're different. So
that's really exciting, though.
Yeah, it is exciting, and still largely focused on state policy and politics, as I was at Cal Matters doing the newsletter, just from a different angle this time.
Perfect. Okay, so your first article, I think I'm correct on this, was about your first day at work. Which now to set this up, Emily, obviously, you're wanting to be at the Chronicle. You kind of set up this article like, COVID, I want to go to work. I want to go to work. Tell us what happened.
Yes. So it was a very wild ride. As you say, I had been wanting to kind of go into the office, start over as normal in person, meet my colleagues. Because my prior job, I had just been there for a couple of weeks when COVID shut down the state. And so it kind of prevented me from having that typical office experience in journalism that I've been wanting. And so, I wake up early in the morning. I'm like ready to commute into San Francisco, have all my outfit ready. I'd like prepared it the day before and everything. I look at my email, and it says, oh, don't come into the office. Like there is like a serious security threat. And I'm like, what? And at first I couldn't even tell what was going on. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of information. And what made it even more complicated was that I didn't even yet at the time have like my official Chronicle email or account or anything. So I was relying on other people to kind of forward information to me. And because I couldn't go into the office that first day, I couldn't onboard, I couldn't get my laptop.
Oh, wow.
I was basically just like using this like dinky old Chromebook to like try to talk to people and figure out what I was doing. And it was crazy. And I think it just showed that the climate that I was going to be entering into, where you're kind of putting yourself out there and sharing your opinions on things, and no matter what they are, people are not going to agree with them. Not everybody, doesn't matter what side of the issue you're on or what position you take. You're not going to make everyone happy. And so it just kind of reminded me that we live in such a polarized and violent world where any sort of disagreement kind of escalates into something that is very horrifying. And we've sort of, as a society, I feel like we've kind of lost this ability to just have a reasoned and clear-eyed debate where people are entering into it on both sides with this assumption of good faith rather than judgment.
Yeah, I mean, that's so interesting that you mentioned that, because of what we were talking about before I brought you on, which was, of course, the State of the Union address, and the GOP was heckling, and then this idea of lying, and we'll be talking about the tech collusion hearing. It seems like we have lost this, not just in politics, but within communities, of being able to have rational conversations without being accused of being an extreme left or right, deep state, far right extremist or something like that. What was the resolution, though, to the gun threat?
The resolution was that basically there were a lot of law enforcement personnel who were kind of involved in evaluating the threat, and they did clear us to return to the office the next day.
Okay.
But as I mentioned in the column, I got to the office and there was this like mugshot that they basically had in the office, so that if you saw this person, alert law enforcement immediately because maybe he was there, maybe he was going to do something. I also will just note that it's interesting, like every single aspect of entering the building is like very secured. I mean, you have to like get a key card to even go into the lobby. Then in the elevator, you have to use your key card. Then once you get to the floor, you have to use your key card. So there's a lot of security. And I think that, again, that's just another aspect of our society that we live in, right? I mean, you used to be able to just hop on a plane or go into a basketball stadium or a concert, and now you have to have like a clear bag or go through a metal detector. I mean, they're even doing that at schools, right? I mean, it's almost as if every part of society is becoming there's just guardrails going up, physical barriers that are trying to ensure that someone's not going to harm the rest of the community.
It is sad when you think of it that way. I see the need for it. I mean, we had, Kim, we had the key cards and everything to enter. Although, and I think we had like bulletproof glass in front of our radio station. So on one hand,
the old studio, and then they put, right before we were unceremoniously dismissed, we had to badge in through one door and then a second door.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's double badge and bulletproof glass, and it's the same thing. And you think about it, it's on one hand you're glad it's there, but on the other hand it's like there's still this thing that rests with you where you have to have that there.
Exactly. I mean, I remember when they first installed the security doors, they told us if anybody just walks up, because I don't know how yours works, but when you walked up to walk out, there was kind of a weight that would unlock the door. And so, which is kind of stupid, because what if there's a threat right there, you've unlocked the door. And it happened and there was somebody standing there, and I took 2 steps back and I'm like, sorry, I shut the door on them. They're like, wait. And I was like, nope, sorry, rules. I got to do it. But better safe than sorry, as they say. Okay, now your newest article, Emily, is something that I love talking about, which is housing. I do.
Yes.
I find it fascinating because there is no wrong side. If there was an issue where I am very empathetic to both sides' argument, it's housing. I get it on both sides. I lean towards YIMBYism because people are here and they need a roof over theirs. I don't like encampments. I'm tired of seeing them. If that means more housing, more homeless shelters, I'm for that, because this isn't working. Yeah. Your article was talking about how YIMBY lawsuits are on the way. And actually yesterday, I believe, they were unveiled. Talk a little bit about that.
Yes. So we are in the middle of this once every 8 years process in the state, where basically the state tells all of the local governments in California, okay, you need to plan for the needs of your community over the coming 8 years. And one part of that plan is housing, and they call it a housing element. And in past years, this housing element exercise was largely one that was done on paper. The state would tell them, okay, you have to plan for X amount of homes, and the cities would do that. But many of them that didn't really want to build the housing would kind of identify these sham sites as ones for development. Like, for example, a grocery store or a super steep embankment where there's no way you could ever make a house like balance on that. And so, there wasn't a lot of oversight enforcement, so it didn't really matter. But a lot of state lawmakers, specifically those from the Bay Area, have in recent years put forward bills that would strengthen that process and give the state a lot more enforcement power over it. And that if they don't meet those goals and they don't plan serious plans that could actually potentially be actualized, right, can get penalties like losing state funds and federal funds. So for the Bay Area, those plans, the cities and counties were supposed to adopt those plans by January 31st. Right. And the vast majority of them did not adopt these plans. And so as a result of that, they are not in compliance with state housing law. And so what that means is that not only are they maybe susceptible to state penalties if they don't turn things around quickly, but also they are subject to this idea, this concept called the builder's remedy.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's like the builders are just having their own solution. And that basically says that for any jurisdiction that has not adopted a housing plan, developers can basically bypass all of the local zoning requirements like height and density, as long as their projects have a certain amount of low income or moderate income units.
Wow.
And so that is basically a way for developers and the state to be like, if you're not complying, we're just going to bypass your rules altogether and make sure more low and moderate income folks can live in these communities. For complicated reasons, this builder's remedy provision has not really been tested a lot in the past, but I think that we're going to see a lot more of it. And what's interesting with these YIMBY lawsuits that were filed, and they were filed in 12 communities across the Bay Area, and there are some in Southern California as well, and there's going to be more that are coming. These lawsuits are basically, the point of them is to basically force these cities to not only accelerate their process to adopt this housing plan, but also to force them to acknowledge, while I don't have a plan, I actually do have to follow the builder's remedy. And I think that we might see some legal battles over what exactly that entails, and there might be pushback on certain projects. So I think we're going to see some of that in the future, but they're basically just asking them to like sign their name saying, yes, I do acknowledge this, and I'm not going to stand in the way of these types of projects.
So, I mean, is there any teeth, though, to the builder's remedy? Because you just said it wasn't tested. They're going to have lawsuits. We know lawsuits can be tied up in court.
Mm-hmm.
What do you predict is really going to happen? How quickly would we see, for instance, a developer say, screw you guys, I'm building housing right here. I'm going to have enough moderate or affordable housing, and I'm just going to make money doing this?
So we have already seen a couple of projects builder's remedy projects get filed. There was one in Fairfax and one in the Los Altos Hills, I believe, and I think more are coming. There were a couple in Southern California as well. And what I think has kind of prevented this in some respects from being used in the past is that when you think about it, developers have to have some level of good relationships with the city that they're trying to build in, because you need permits for literally every single thing that you're doing, you know, what you're wanting to build, regulations, environment, things like that. And so a lot of housing advocates I've talked to have said that part of the reason they're kind of putting themselves in the middle of this fight is so that they can kind of shield the developers who might need to maintain that more positive relationship with city officials, and just kind of underscore these responsibilities. So the question of how many builder's remedy projects is an interesting one. I think now that these cities are kind of being put on notice, it will be interesting to watch if they rush, super fast to adopt these housing plans in order to not have to deal with the builder's remedy, or if they say, oh, you know what, let's go through court and let's fight this, and I feel like this is going to be on my side. In Southern California, we have, it seems like some of the cities that we've been looking at, and this will be in a forthcoming piece actually, some of the cities have seemed to respond to this threat and are saying, okay, you know what, we are going to adopt plans that would actually make it easier to build like denser and taller housing.
What has been the response? Not just, obviously, we know that people that live in some of these cities just don't want any more housing, right?
Yeah.
But what has been the response to this threat? Just, in your conversations and your interviews? Because honestly, from just my casual conversations with people, they're like, okay, go ahead and sue. It's just not going to happen here.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, obviously the state and the state lawmakers are under immense pressure to house Californians. I mean,
yes.
we see the encampments. So on their end, it's like the cities really have no excuse. Obviously, the cities are under their own pressures. I mean, many of them feel like Sacramento is, continues to just throw down regulations on them. And to a certain extent, that is true. I mean, there are a lot of new laws that they had to follow this time around, including making sure that they were spreading this housing, not just in all types of communities, not just communities that are already lower income, mm-hmm. or near like certain types of environmental sites. They want to make sure that, even in single family neighborhoods, we're going to see more housing. So they're under more pressure. They obviously were under constraints because of COVID. So even though they knew this deadline was approaching, I think they were occupied for much of the past couple of years by other concerns, budget cuts, things like that. So it's going to be interesting to play out, but the reality is that this is in California statute, the builder's remedy. And so how to what extent they're going to be able to shield themselves from this legally, I don't know, but to me, it sort of seems like it's in the law. And that was kind of my point with my entire column is I agree with you, Nikki. Like I empathize with both sides of the debate, but for me, what is frustrating is that I feel like when there's a deadline, the same way you have a deadline at work, you may not necessarily agree with the work you have to do by that deadline, but the deadline is still there. And that's part of society, right? Like there are rules in society that you have to kind of abide by. And I don't think it's fair for cities or the state for that matter to impose deadlines on residents, but then they themselves not hold themselves to that standard. So that was kind of where I was coming from with that. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
How's been on a personal note, writing op-eds, it can't be easy because the comment section exists, right, Emily?
I do know it exists. I think the housing one definitely was a bit more, because people definitely get, very agitated on that subject matter for good reason. It's interesting because I think for me, there are, and I'm sure it's the same for both of you, there are issues that you're just inherently more passionate about. And I think for those, it's easier to kind of come out and like have your opinion on them. And then there's others that you're less familiar with or are just more nuanced or you have less of a personal connection with. And then it's a little bit harder to kind of feel like, okay, what do I really think about this?
We'll give you the list because there were always topics that you would bring up on KGO and you knew the phones were going to go crazy.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's the ones that generate a big response, and homelessness is usually at the top of the list.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No. So, I think if you had the word YIMBY in the headline, it just sets off a lot of fireworks in a lot of places.
Yeah, exactly. And it's going to be quite the transition for you. Obviously, when you come out with an opinion, as I know Kim knows, you're going to get obviously hate emails and everything like that. But I think that, I love the fact that you started your first article by clarifying that it's not just going to be these knee-jerk reactions, that it's going to be based on research and really talking with the people that are involved in whatever issue that you're writing about. I do think that that's important. And I applaud you for that.
Thank you. And I want to do my absolute best to live up to that. In an ideal world, in a real world, there are these deadlines and there are other things that are going to limit, just how much you can totally research an issue. And it's one of those things where you can go down rabbit holes for years and never emerge. But I do really want to be, I want to be tough but fair, and I really want to embody this concept of good faith that I think is like really severely lacking in our society, where you enter into a conversation and you assume the best of the other person, rather than assuming, this city doesn't care at all, or, the state doesn't care at all. You have to assume that both of them are entering into this debate. They have different pressures on them. They have different things that they're trying to achieve. One is not necessarily more valid than the other, but even within a very complicated matrix, there are still going to be, outcomes that we want to try to advance or not advance. And so, I don't know. I hope that can happen, but the realities of the world are, there's a lot going on. I think time is always the biggest constraint for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Well, congratulations again. We're going to get you back on the show as much as we can. Again, Emily Hoeven, not Cal Matters anymore, San Francisco Chronicle. Congratulations. Thanks so much for coming on the show, Emily. We love having you on.
Thanks so much. I love you guys too. Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, that's got to be a tough gig. I feel like on
She's
one
awesome,
hand,
though. She can handle it.
Oh yeah,
She's got a good head on her shoulders. She's going to be great.
It's one of those things where, of course I could just share my opinion, but it has to be like she was talking about. You don't want to not give that, even if you're on a deadline, and obviously, especially with newspapers, right?
Mhm.
You got to have something out there. But you don't want to just be like, yeah, that's how I feel about it, and not talk to the people involved or look at the other side. And I like how she keeps saying that good faith, that you come from a good place, I come from a good place, and we can actually have a rational conversation about something. That's tough.
So my uncle Brad, it turns out, I should have told her this. He was the opinion page editor at the Marin IJ.
Oh, cool.
For many, many years, just retired and still writes some op-eds for them in his retirement. But he has always been the most interesting person to talk politics with, especially at family events. We always get into it, but he always understands both sides of the argument, and he's very interesting. And I think that job kind of lends itself to being really informed and aware of what
Oh,
people are
absolutely.
thinking about. So yeah, I think it's going to be great for her.
Yeah, and I've always enjoyed having her on the show. I think she's amazing. And so definitely check her out in the Chronicle. I know that op-eds can be what they are, but I like her attitude about it. So definitely check that out. Okay, we're gonna take a quick break for Kim's news. When we come back, though, we are gonna talk about the tech collusion hearing. I have a bunch of clips. Not quite sure the GOP wants to make the argument that tech companies like Twitter are in the pocket of the deep state. Because again, similar to Social Security, there's some receipts. And you have to be honest about what's going on. What went on with the Hunter Biden story on Twitter, and then what has been happening, in the past with the former president, Donald Trump, the insurrection, and of course, moving forward. And then when we're having the conversation, let me know in the chats how you feel about it. Is there a way to be infallible on social media? Is there a way to be fair to both sides when the platform in and of itself are a bunch of knee-jerk reactions to what's going on, in current events? So we'll have that conversation. Matthew McConaughey has made his appearance. If you see, he's right there. We have a Matthew McConaughey story that Kim threw my way. So we'll definitely talk about that. Also, if we have time, I want to talk about late night television and late night TV shows. Is the sun setting on them? Because the replacement for James Corden has been announced, and it's weird. So
I haven't heard who it is. Okay.
All right. So I'll have that coming as well. Click that thumbs up button. It really helps us out. YouTube loves it. I love it. I love all of you. Again, hopefully Steve Moskowitz will also join us in the second part of the show. I do want to talk for a few moments about whether or not we really should be putting off filing our taxes, or let the IRS figure it out. But first, here's Kim.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. We want to start this newscast by updating the death toll of the earthquake in Turkey and Syria. The death toll now climbing above 12,000. The rescue efforts are underway in those countries, I should say. Turns out Title 42 may soon come to an end. It's a situation that has a lot of people perplexed, but the public health rule used to expedite deportations at the border was implemented during the pandemic to prevent COVID from coming in from Mexico. The Justice Department is arguing when the emergency order is lifted in May, the border rule should end too. The director of the CDC, Rochelle Walensky, says there's still a lot of work to do to mitigate COVID. Speaking before Congress, Walensky said that the CDC is focused on sharing information faster, translating scientific jargon into easy-to-understand policy, in addition to improving laboratory quality. Walensky said to maximize its potential, the CDC needs help from Congress to fund that quality work. The federal and NFL officials are very confident, they say, in the safety and the security of the Super Bowl this Sunday in Arizona. The NFL's chief security officer said there aren't any credible or known threats to the big game at this time. She also mentioned increased traffic is expected around the Phoenix area for the title game and other related events as well. And SF Beer Week will be kicking off Oops, I messed that up. Will be kicking off on Friday. Yes, for hops-filled festivities through February 19th. Official launch parties are taking place on Friday at the Pond Farm in San Rafael and 21st Amendment in San Leandro. The mini beer festival will feature a special mix of SF Beer Week releases and collaboration brews. For a list of participating brew pubs, you can check out sfbeerweek.org. sfbeerweek.org.
Beer.
Beer. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. If you need help with your taxes, call Steve Moskowitz. He is at 888-TAX-DEAL. He's also at moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Medoro Show.
There we go. Thank you, Kim. Thank you. And yes,
Yeah.
of course, visit our exclusive founding sponsor, Steve Moskowitz. Okay, so let's get to it. Oh, hold up. You know what I want to do? I do want to give a quick shout out to James Buchanan, who started us off with a $5 super
thanks,
sticker.
James.
I was also mentioning, Kim, good news for us, by the way, that we have more people donating to our Patreon.
Oh,
And let
that's
me just
nice.
show that email or the web address again. TheNikkiMedoroShow.com is where you can become a Medorable, as I like to call it. You can join our cool club, join our Patreon monthly subscribers, TheNikkiMedoroShow.com. We actually had someone that bumped up their monthly subscription from like $10 to $50 a month. And
nice.
I know that not everybody can do it, but I appreciate those that can, who can donate money during the super chat. And it's a great way to help us keep the lights on and let us know that we're doing the right thing. But if you can't afford any of it, again, just click the thumbs up at the beginning and middle end of each and every show, even if you watch it on replay, because we absolutely love it. And if you want to help us advertise the show, you can always buy some merchandise. The NikkiMedoroShop.com is where you get that. And I was trying to do this before I was unceremoniously kicked off. Go to the Red Jack Saloon.
Hey, there it is.
And drink my drink. The Medoro Mule. I mean, I get a kick out of this every single time. The Medoro Mule, and Lori, who runs the bar there, she will donate a bit to the show. And you can also pick up a martini for Mark Thompson's show. And so that's another great way of supporting the show. Absolutely.
And
love
such a nice thought that she would do that.
Exactly.
Lori above the bar. Mwah.
You've made a dream come true, which is for a cocktail to be named by moi. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so let's get into this tech collusion hearing. So House Republicans are having this hearing. Their goal, of course, I think, is to make it seem like Democrats, President Biden, the deep state, are all in cahoots with tech companies like Twitter and Snapchat and Facebook and whatever, to suppress news that makes them look bad. Right? To suppress good news about the GOP. They only elevate bad stories about the GOP and what have you. I think it's a bit rich. I think it's a bit rich for a political party to try to take a stance like this when we know what happened on January 6th. When we know what happened during the 2016 election with Russia. Now, you guys can argue about whether Trump was involved in it or not, but we do know there's certain facts. Russia created fake accounts pretending to be Americans to create this idea of people believing in the conspiracy theories that you believe in, to kind of get all these rallies started. Because once you convince people that other people think like they do, then they think that they are right. And so we know these things happened. There was a power outage in the middle of the hearing. I think they've restarted it, though. Yeah, they restarted it about an hour ago, I think. But apparently audible gasps rang out in the room as the lights went out. They came back seconds later, so it wasn't that big of a deal. So again, the focus of this hearing seems to be about Twitter, because a bunch of 3 former Twitter executives are part of this, had to testify about a decision in 2020 before the election to block users from sharing this controversial New York Post story that we all know about Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, and the laptop that allegedly belonged to him. Now, the decision was reversed, but it's been this kind of example that the GOP uses about censorship against them by Silicon Valley, which is a bunch of, liberal crazies. All right. But the thing is, there are so many examples of social media companies kind of kowtowing, or GOP members trying to persuade said social media companies from doing their bidding. For instance, there was one point that was made during the hearing that former President Trump's White House asked Twitter to remove a tweet from 2019 from Chrissy Teigen. Now, you know Chrissy Teigen. She's a model.
John Legend's wife. And
John Legend's wife, of course.
Supermodel and in her own right.
So apparently in 2019, Trump tweeted that Teigen was filthy mouthed and attacked her husband, John Legend, for not giving Trump more credit for signing a criminal justice reform bill into law. Teigen apparently tweeted in response that Trump was a P word, B word. Okay. We understand what that is, right? We know what the P word is.
Okay, let me just say that as if former President Trump doesn't have the worst language. We heard that in the grab him by the P,
which is the same P that Teigen used, by the way.
Right.
So,
I mean, come on. So you're going to complain about her, but look at yourself, pal.
Exactly. And then speaking of looking at yourself, again, just being honest, just being honest about how social media can be used by people with nefarious reasons, right? Or goals or motives. Congressman Jamie Raskin, who was on this oversight committee, of course, was talking about kind of how rich it is for the GOP to be up in arms. Here he is.
The professional conspiracy theorists who are heckling and haranguing this private company have already gotten exactly what they want, an apology. What more do they want? And why does the U.S. Congress have to be involved in this nonsense when we have serious work to do for the American people? But what makes this hearing tragic is that if our colleagues really wanted to examine a serious problem involving American democracy and social media, my friends, it is staring us in the face right now. Twitter and other social media companies acted as central organizing and staging grounds for the January 6th violent insurrection against Congress and against Vice President Pence. Twitter became the national and global platform for incitement to seditious violence against our government, and a forum on the day of attack for coordinating logistical movements and tactical maneuvers in the mob violence against our police officers.
Mike is muted. The fact is that the GOP, they don't want to delve into this, right? They don't want to talk about how Twitter was used on January 6th. Why? Because then they would have to come to terms with how some of their own members were involved in this.
Some of their own members sitting in the gallery last night shouting at the president.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
For lying.
Now, again, and I touched on this earlier, Trump was coddled by Twitter, right? Oh, because he's president of the United States, his tweets are newsworthy. And so we can't ban him from our platform. If there really was a deep state, if the Democrats were really colluding with these tech companies, his ass would have been off Twitter a long time ago. I love AOC. I know she's a very divisive figure to some of you. She called this nonsense out. Here she is talking about kind of this hypocrisy.
Ms. Navarrete, let's talk about something real. I'd like to show you a tweet posted by former President Trump about my colleagues and I on July 14, 2019. It says in part, quote, "Why don't they go back and help fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came? Then come back and show us how it's done. These places need your help badly. You can't leave fast enough. I'm sure that Nancy Pelosi would be very happy as quickly to work out free travel arrangements." A day or two after that, Donald Trump publicly incited, violence at a rally, targeting 4 congresswomen, including myself, saying, "Go back to where you came from." Ms. Navarrete, as I understand it, you were the most senior member of Twitter's content moderation team, or a senior member of Twitter's content moderation team when this was posted. As part of your responsibilities, did you review this tweet?
Yes, it was my team's responsibility to review these tweets.
And what did you conclude?
My team made the recommendation that for the first time, we find Donald Trump in violation of Twitter's policies and use the public interest interstitial.
For the first time?
Yes.
And at the time, Twitter's policy included a specific example when it came to banned abuse against immigrants, as they specifically included the phrase, go back to your country or go back to where you came from, correct?
Yes, that was specifically included in the content moderation guidance as an example.
You brought this up to the Vice President of Trust and Safety, Del Harvey, correct?
I did, yes.
And she overrode your assessment, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
And something interesting happened after she overrode your assessment. A day or two later, Twitter seemed to have changed their policies, didn't they?
Yes, that trope, go back to where you came from, was removed from the content moderation guidance as an example.
So Twitter changed their own policy after the president violated it in order to potentially accommodate his tweet?
Yes.
Thank you. So much.
Yeah. So again, this is what's happened to benefit Donald Trump. But it's the deep state Democrats that are controlling social media. That's what's happening. It just seems ridiculous that, and honestly, I'll say this. I think it's actually not even possible for the federal government to control the content of social media. I'm going to say at this point, I don't think it's possible because they would do it better if they could, in my opinion, right? There would be no conspiracy theories. Everything would be rainbows and sunshine about the federal government. If they really controlled it, that would happen, right? I mean, it's not a stretch to think that if you could control something like the actual narrative, that you wouldn't do so.
Right.
I mean, am I missing something here? I don't know. It just seems to me that it's a ridiculous talking point. One more, just because I understand that the arguments when they come out of certain people's mouths fall on deaf ears. Okay. So if, for instance, Donald Trump is talking, certain people will never listen. Right. And he could be right. He could be completely right, but no one's going to listen to him because of all the times where he was just saying,
well, it's like it's the boy who cried wolf. I mean,
exactly.
How many times am I going to hear a lie from you? And then when you're actually telling the truth, I won't believe you.
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
But it's not my fault. It's your fault, not you, former President Trump.
Whose responsibility is it, though, to push past personal feelings? And I will say this about myself. I mean, somebody's calling me out about hating Trump. I don't hate him as I despise his being and his mark on our history. Is that fair? I really do.
Hate, despise, hate. I don't know. I think there might be kind of.
I don't like what he represents.
Right.
I feel like if we had to list what we wanted as a representation of this country, he's not it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He's not representative of the best of us. He represents the worst of us, the racist hysteria, the old school way of thinking, protecting himself, his own riches. That I can't stand. Right now, AOC, on the other hand, I know can be very divisive because people don't agree with her politics. Right? Yeah. Socialist. Some people would agree that, we should be taking better care of everybody in this country, but I digress. One more video with AOC, of course, bringing up, and I don't know if you've ever heard of this, Kim, the libs of TikTok. Do you know what the libs of TikTok is?
No.
Okay. So you would think that it's like liberals that are speaking. No, it's kind of calling out the Democrats. So, right. And this is, again, the consequences of stuff like this.
Additionally, Ms. Navarrete, are you familiar with the account Libs of TikTok?
I have heard of it from the news, yes.
Mr. Roth, are you familiar with this account?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Are you aware from August 11th to August 16th, that account posted false information about Boston Children's Hospital, claiming that they were providing hysterectomies to children?
Yes, I am aware of that and other claims from the account.
And are you aware that this lie was then circulated by other prominent far-right influencers?
Yes.
And are you aware that all these claims, which I have reiterated were false, culminated in a real-life harassment and ultimately a bomb threat to the Boston Children's Hospital?
Oh, wow.
I am aware.
And this account is still on that platform today, isn't it?
Regrettably, yes, it is.
Despite inspiring a bomb threat due to the right-wing incitement of violence against trans Americans in this country, because they cannot let go of this obsession with fixating violence and inciting violence against trans and LGBT people, in addition to immigrants, in addition to women of color. This is a party that cannot pick on anyone their own size.
I mean, is she wrong? Chat room, is she wrong in some way?
We got a chat from Randy who says, yeah, we get who gets to decide which speech is allowed on social media.
That's a great question.
But I feel like for so long we've tolerated or just maybe been exposed to lies as being a form of speech. The fact is, we can have a different opinion. You know, you may be against abortion, I might be for choice, and we can disagree on that. And there's facts on both sides of the issues. And okay, so we disagree. That's fine. But we're not lying about it. We just have a different opinion about it. That's different than being factually inaccurate and stirring up what you just heard, bomb threats against a hospital because of lies, or someone going into a pizza place and opening fire because of lies, right? Or people storming the Capitol based on a lie. So I feel like, Randy, while I get where you're trying to go with that, who decides which speech is allowed on social media? What if we all agree that lies are not? Well, then you would ask, well, who decides what's a lie and what's not? I think there are some things that are very obvious, right? There are some things that,
well, you'd be surprised.
I guess so. I don't know. I mean,
how do you prove that something isn't true, right? I mean, how do you prove, how do you prove that the person knows what they're saying is a lie? Because that's the other thing. Trump was great at this. You want me to give the damn guy a compliment? Here you go. He was great at bringing up topics as if, you know, people are saying, people are asking. I've been hearing. I'm not saying it's true, but I'm going to bring this topic, this theory, this lie into the conversation. And then we can keep talking about it, even though there's no support for it, because I hear some people are talking about it. So it's a valid question. Look, and it's still happening. It's still happening. Look, this is the guy on the Republican side that's apparently leading this hearing. His name is James Comer. Not Comey, Comer. And he was on with on CNN. Now, again, it's this question of, I'm just asking. Here we go. Turn on my volume.
They did over land. One thing you said as we were learning about this balloon.
Now, again, she's asking about the Chinese balloon that was shot down. The GOP will not give Biden any credit, by the way, for shooting it down over the ocean instead of the land so it wouldn't harm people, and seems to forget about the fact that this Chinese balloon apparently happened during the prior administration under Trump, but I digress.
Three times.
Yeah, 3 times. Listen to him just asking the question.
And tracking it, you asked on Fox News, is it bioweapons in that balloon? Did that balloon take off from Wuhan? We don't know anything about it. And you don't have any evidence that this balloon can take bioweapons.
I asked a question. I mean, what is in the balloon? This is something that we believe the White House should have advised us on. They should have had a briefing to tell us what this was. I mean, back home in Kentucky, this is all anybody talks about. What was this balloon? Everyone was concerned. No one trusts China. They know China is an adversary. My concern was the military had no idea anything about the balloon. What was in the balloon? Was it a spy balloon? Was it a weather balloon, like China said? What exactly did the U.S. military know about this? What did our intelligence know about this? Did they know it was even in airspace before it got in the Alaska airspace. So, it's just a lot of questions. And that was just one of the questions. Just for all we know, it could have bioweapons in it. They could be testing
But
to
you don't
see
have
if
any
they could.
evidence.
No, I didn't. I asked the question because
I just asked the question. So now what? Everybody in Kentucky is apparently obsessed with this Chinese weather balloon. Now, on one hand, let me play fair. I think it's a valid question of what the hell is this balloon? I was a huge proponent of shooting the damn thing down and not taking China's word for it. Absolutely. But when you say, could it be carrying bioweapons? Then you start going back into COVID and all of that nonsense. So do you see what just asking a question does? Why not just, we want to figure out what exactly this balloon is, period, end of statement. But you can't do that, right? You can't do that. You have to add all of these other factors under the guise of I'm just asking the question.
Yeah.
It's
Just asking.
Just asking. People are saying, I'm just hearing my ass. You're coming up with this nonsense. So, this is your Republican Party, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not going to say the Democrats haven't done it. They can be just as bad as well. But when you're talking about facts versus lies, going back to the State of the Union address with the uproar over the whole Social Security debacle, ignoring the fact that a member of their own party did, in fact, and it is true, put forward a proposal to do away with Social Security. I mean, I love Biden's take on it. So let's just be fair.
I mean, Trump is famous for lying, even though there's video evidence of him saying something. Oh, I never said that. What? By the way, talking about the balloon, I thought this meme was really funny. I saw on Facebook, the China spy balloon just sent back its first pics from Missouri. Look at all the liquor bottles and the Solo cups and the throwing a beer bottle up at the balloon. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're like, we're not going down there. No sign of intelligent life. I don't know. It is concerning. I think that, again, something like a balloon that comes from arguably one of our adversaries, because our relations with China have been disintegrating because of certain political issues, right? Totally valid. You would think that as a nation, or at least as Congress, could come to terms of like, yeah, let's figure out what the hell's up there, and not make it divisive political issue.
What isn't a divisive political issue?
I'm exhausted by it. Yes, it's so annoying, and we're better than this. We should be better than this, right? I hope that we're better than this. I don't know when we're going to become better than this, because they say that we're screwed, and that politicians fundraise and just happen to love it. It works for them. And until we stop electing people that are like that, I don't agree with Mitt Romney. Sure as hell would never vote for him for president of the United States, but I applaud him being able to stand up to truth, to power, and being like, look, this guy should be embarrassed to try to shake my damn hand. You're a liar. Yeah. You're a liar and a thief. Just go away. Go sit in the back where you should. But I think that's also telling that Santos felt like he could do that. Why? Because that's our politics right now.
It is, but I mean, just on a personal level, and I get that all people are different, but there should be some kind of, I don't know, ethics natively installed in us, where if I'll say you can make a mistake and lie about something, but if you are caught in lies like this, that there should be some type of embarrassment or some red-faced situation where instead you don't want to put yourself in the front row. You want to, hang out in the back, even if you're trying to stay in Congress. You just kind of want to let things, die down, blow over, whatever. He doesn't have that gene. He's like, I lied, I'm out, and I'm proud about the lying.
Yeah. I mean, no shame whatsoever. And it's awful. It really is. And
it's embarrassing. And I can understand why exactly Romney said, you're embarrassing. You're embarrassing.
And Kevin McCarthy's not going to kick him off. Obviously, they need the seat, right? They need the seat. And that's just the only reason why the guy is still sitting there. And he's a child. I mean, you could see in that exchange with Mitt Romney, he was like, I know you are, but what am I type of, kind of behavior,
Right.
which was absolutely ridiculous. So we'll see what comes. We'll, continue to follow the tech collusion hearing. I don't know what's really going to come from that or if it's going to make us any better, but waiting in the wings, and who we want to welcome to the show right now is the one and only exclusive founding sponsor of the Nikki Medoro Show, Steve Moskowitz. Hello, Steve.
Hi, Nikki. Hi, Kim. Always a pleasure.
All right. So I had emailed you because I was seeing this article and I wanted to be kind of specific before we get to what you can do for everybody. Apparently, we're being told, at least by the Washington Post, that we should delay filing our taxes. And when I saw that, part of me was like, good, because I'm not ready. I haven't talked to Steve's people yet. I'm not ready at all. On the other hand, I was like, should we really be waiting? I mean, that doesn't sound like good advice.
So first of all, it depends who owes whom.
That's true, right?
And if the government owes you, as a general rule, the earlier you file, the quicker you get the money, especially when you have them transmitted electronically. If you ask for a paper check, you're going to wait quite a while. If you owe them, you have until the due date, and then you can go on extension, but the extension is an extension of time to file, not an extension of time to pay. But there can be other reasons too. Like we put a lot of clients on extension, even though the return is finished, sitting in the file cabinet, because they want to do a pension. And by putting them on extension, that gives them an extra half a year to come up with the money to put in the pension. So suppose, for example, you're a business owner and you say, well, okay, I'd like to deduct, and this is one of the areas where you can do something in 2023 and save taxes from 2022. Right. Most of the things you have to write the check by December 31st, 22. So in this area, suppose you're a business, matter of fact, I talked to somebody just like this today.
Okay.
They were complaining that the only thing their accountant did was just move the numbers from one place to just do the return, no advice. And I said, well, okay, I have a tough question for you. Do you want to pay more or less taxes? And they said, less. I said, do you have a pension? No. I said, well, there you go. And, oh, well, then I guess I'll have to wait till next year. So, no, but they didn't have the money yet to do it. So I said, well, that's okay, because with an exception in the pension law, we can set up the pension and pay it depending on the form of entity you are, up until September 15th or even October 15th. So basically, money that you haven't earned yet, you basically have an extra half a year after the original due date to earn it, put it in the account, and deduct it off of 22, which also would mean that your estimated payment would be less because you expect to pay less taxes. So there can be all kinds of reasons. That's why in tax, it depends just comes up so much.
Well,
lawyer's favorite answer, it depends, but that's really valid an awful lot of time.
So, I mean, so obviously if the government owes you and kind of what you were talking about there, but just generally for people in our chat room that are asking, should they wait or should they, I mean,
it depends on their individual situation. With our clients, most of our clients are business people. Most of our clients wait because of the pension.
Okay.
And again, the extension is an extension of time to file, not an extension of time to pay. But
can you explain that real quickly? You say an extension is a time to file, not a time to pay, but how do I know how much to pay?
So you have to make an estimate. So,
okay.
So if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, or especially if you hire us.
Not doing it. I need you, Steve. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to.
You got it. We're going to see you soon.
Okay.
And what happens is, for example, we'll meet with the clients on a monthly basis. We'll do their accounting. We'll give them business advice. And then what happens is you get monthly financial statements. So let's say on January 31st of 23, your profit was X. So I guess it's very simple and easy to do. So we say, okay, well, if your profit is X, the tax, if that your profit is X, the tax on that would be Y. Put Y in a separate bank account.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Now, next month in February, now your year-to-date profit is X2, your tax is Y2, put that in the bank account. So now when the estimated payments come up, which are April 15th, June 15th, September 15th, and January 15th of next year, you don't have to say, oh my God, I don't have any money. Where am I get the money? Oh no. And then people make all the mistakes. So they don't file the returns and they do all kinds of stuff they're not supposed to, and they get penalized. You have the money sitting in the bank account.
Yeah, that's what I need. I need Steve. I need you to just tell me what to do, and then I'll just do it. And I don't want to think about it anymore, which is really what you tell us all the time is we have the people that will stay up at night worrying about it. So you don't have to.
Well, it's like, going to a doctor. It's, the doctor says, okay, here's what you do to treat your condition, and you do it. You're not going to sit up and do a chemical analysis of the medication he or she gives you. That's his or her job. So the bottom line is we've dedicated our lives to taxes. I don't know anything about dentistry. If you have a dental problem, my only advice would be consult with a dentist.
There you go. Well, I love you, Steve. We are talking next week, please.
Absolutely.
I need help. But yes, and I love the fact that you've always been in our corner. You're our exclusive founding sponsor. Please give Steve Moskowitz a call. 888 tax deal moskowitzllp.com. It's right there on your screen. 888 tax deal or moskowitzllp.com. Thanks, Dave. We'll talk soon. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, dude. I'm telling you.
He's the man.
Late at night. I'm losing my mind, woman. I am losing my mind. So
you're doing a lot of new things. You need a Steve Moskowitz on your side. Who doesn't?
Exactly. I mean, if I could laundry list the things that have happened to me since we left Station X, all I know is I need a lot of coffee, which is like literally right here. But I love doing the show. I love you, Kim. I love all of our viewers. Yeah. Literally these 2 hours, no matter the stress before or after, once it's going and you could see me, and I'm not glitching, I'm good to go. Okay, so we're going to do Kim's news real quickly. And then when we come back, I want to talk about late night TV. How many of you watch late night TV and who do you love? What kind of late night talk show do you like? Are you an SNL type of person? Comedy skits? Do you like Jimmy Kimmel? Did you like, who was it? Craig Ferguson's no longer on there. I don't think he has. Well, anyways, CBS has chosen a replacement for the Late Late Show with James Corden. And it's weird. And I'm wondering if the sun is setting on late night TV. Because I don't know. I don't stay up. I watch, if it's funny, I'll see it on Twitter, right? I'll see it on social media. So you guys let me know, what do you watch, if anything? Kim's going to talk to me about Matthew McConaughey, my favorite. He's right there. Because apparently now you're watching Yellowstone. Are you watching it?
Love it. Well, I'm done with it.
But
I've also watched, I think it's 1888. 83. So good. Whatever year it was. And 1926, which is now in like they have
there's too many numbers for me.
5 episodes. Well, they're kind of the prequel. So you can 1883, exactly. I think, is the one where you see the family coming, getting to their home, their eventual home, and what they go through as they migrate through America, and the violence and the will to survive, and how you had to be so strong. And it really sets the stage for why the family is the way it is today, as does I don't want to say 26 or 23. 19. I always get confused. But that also shows like the trials and tribulations of this family and how they've had to kind of sink their teeth into this land to hold on to it. And it's really
good. All right. I've always heard good things. I'm not watching it, so we'll talk, but I might now, because guess who might be joining it. So that's all coming up after Kim's news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report is sponsored by that great guy you just saw here on the Nikki Medoro Show, tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Let's check out President Biden. Why don't we? Because the president is not convinced that Republicans don't want to cut Social Security and Medicare. While speaking in Wisconsin, the president claimed some Republicans want to sunset entitlements, naming Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson and Utah Senator Mike Lee. President Biden's remarks come after Republicans booed him during his State of the Union address when he made the same claim. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says China violated the international law and U.S. sovereignty with its surveillance balloon. He defended the White House's response, saying it protected American interests. Blinken added that there is an operation ongoing to recover the balloon's parts from when it was shot down, so we can check it out and see exactly what was on board that spy balloon. Researchers at Harvard say living a healthy lifestyle can reduce the risk of what is known as long COVID. So take care of yourself. You might not actually get that long COVID. They followed more than 30,000 female nurses for 18 months. The research found a healthy body weight and adequate sleep can help reduce that risk by half. Activists in Texas are calling for an end to the state's border security operation as they are pointing to the shooting now of an illegal immigrant. Last month, the Texas National Guard soldiers shot a migrant in the shoulder while on border patrol. What happened is under review by Customs and Border Protection's Office of Professional Responsibility. We have some trouble with the trees, apparently. This is a story from the U.S. Forest Service. They say the drought and the warm temperatures hurt California's forests in 2022. The report says an estimated 36 million trees across nearly 3 million acres of federal, state, and private land died in California last year. 36 million trees. It's a dramatic increase over 2021 when an estimated 10 million trees in California died. Trees have become highly susceptible to bark beetle infestation, and that is a disease that increases during drought years. This winter's storms and above average snowpacks are expected to help, but the Forest Service says it will take several years of normal or above normal precipitation to reverse this trend. Researchers also say the recent heavy rains have created the perfect home for ticks carrying Lyme disease. The Bay Area Lyme Foundation finding Mendocino, Marin, and Monterey counties are showing a large increase of ticks carrying Lyme disease. So heads up for that. Up to 40% of ticks in those counties tested positive for Lyme. That compared to about 3% of ticks in other areas. The ticks have recently been found along beaches on Northern California's coastline, and experts say stay away from the tall grass and logs and tall brush. Always check your body, clothes, and pets after being outside. I don't know if you're a big fan of this band, but Duran Duran is announcing a North American tour. Yes, it kicks off May 27th at Bottle Rock Festival in the Napa area, wraps up September 19th in Toronto. Tickets go on sale for the general public February 16th and on the band's website, so check that out. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. So if you need help with your taxes, Steve Moskowitz is the one to call. He's at 888-TAX-DEAL or MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
Thank you, Kim. All right. So let's get into late night television. Now, I think I know the answer, Kim, but I don't think you stay up late to watch any of these shows, correct?
Sometimes.
Really?
If I know that someone big is going to be on, like if President Biden was going to be on, I would. There was a time when I worked late in the evening at Station X and I would come home and I would watch Craig Ferguson almost every night.
I mean, if I worked night, obviously, and you could feel me on this, when I had my daughter, not my second, but when I had my daughter and I was home on maternity leave, and the shows you would watch, I watched so much poker because that's what's on that's semi-interesting in the middle of the night.
I had shows I taped that were I called them breast milk pumping shows. They were the pumping shows. They're the ones you don't really care about. You just turn it on while you're pumping. Yeah,
exactly. Did your pump, just side note, did your pump say anything to you?
No. Did yours?
No. Yeah. So the sound that it made, like the pumping sound, I swear, mine said crack whore. I swear to God. It went crack whore. I would just sit there. I mean, maybe it was, I was in this sleep deprived.
I think you're hallucinating in the middle of the night.
No, I asked friends. I'm like, what?
You're telling me your breast pump called you a crack whore?
Any women in the comments, please tell me. No, I talked to my friends about it. They're like, oh yeah, mine said this. It was the sound that it would make, and then all of a sudden it turned into words. Mine was crack whore. It was.
Oh, that's funny.
Anyways, I digress. Okay, so late night television. CBS has made a decision on what to replace the time slot when James Corden, the host, leaves the Late Late Show this spring. And they're replacing it with a Stephen Colbert produced reboot that's called At Midnight. Did anybody, I never even heard of this show before. So obviously Colbert already has his own late night show. He's just going to be involved in this. Okay, this is how it's described. All right. So At Midnight appeared on Comedy Central from 2013 to 2017. It featured guests competing in improv games that were inspired by the internet. The original host was Chris Hardwick. I think he does the recap of The Walking Dead or something like. You know who Chris Hardwick is?
Mm-mm.
He had his own little kind of controversy with this woman. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was a sexual type of thing or whatever. But anyways, if you look up Chris Hardwick, I'm sure many of you know who he is. But anyways, he was the original host of At Midnight. They're not expecting to bring him back. CBS isn't giving up too many details. Now, the Late Late Show. Who was the original host? Does anybody know who was the original host of the Late Late Show? Now, James Corden does it now. But who else? Let me count. Let me see. So there was 1, 2,
Letterman, right?
3, 4. No, this is the Late Late Show. There's 2 lates, not just the late
Chris
show.
Hardwick.
Oh, there you go. Thank you. That's Chris Hardwick. Anybody recognize him? No? Okay. So let me just tell you this. Who was the original host? And I'll tell you there was 1, 2, 3. James Corden was the 4th host. Who was the first? I see somebody. I see some answers. Let's see.
I don't know.
No idea.
Was
Anybody? I have some answers. I'll throw them up there. Say Seth Meyers. No.
Who's the one that was is now an actor?
Jack Tarr. No.
Really good looking guy.
Okay, y'all have to be a little more specific than that. We're not talking about Matthew McConaughey. No, Ryan gets it. Ryan has it right. Oh, darn it. There we go. Tom Snyder.
Tom Snyder. Okay.
I have to look him up, though, because I don't know who that is. Do you know who that is? Oh, yeah, I do know his face.
Yeah.
He was a Late Late Show guy. Hold on. Let me see if I can share my screen real quick so you guys can know what I'm talking about. There you go. You guys recognize that face? That's Tom Snyder. So it was Tom Snyder. And then it was Craig Kilborn.
Loved
then
him.
It was Craig Ferguson.
Loved him.
And then James Corden.
Yeah.
So those were the 4 hosts of the Late Late Show. I feel like late shows, especially not just late shows, but late shows, they might be dying out. Because of the internet. You don't have to stay up late. And I don't know if you get the ROI, the return on investment, that you would if people were actually tuning in. Oh, yes. And just a little bit more on Chris Hardwick, who, again, was the original host of At Midnight, which will be apparently replacing the Late Late Show. Chris Hardwick was the Nerdist podcast. Yes. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't stay up late for him. Although I see a purpose for him. Even SNL, even Saturday Night Live, I feel now they got rid of a lot of their celebrity comedians or whatever you left the show, of course. It's kind of a whole new reboot with a bunch of new people. I think that with the internet, Kim, and with Twitter and the ability to share the clips that you want to watch versus having to slug through the whole damn thing. I mean, I like Jimmy Kimmel and I've never stayed up late to watch a show.
I like his post-Oscar show.
Yeah.
I enjoy that. But how do you then get the same quality of broadcast? How do you get the same, the people to book the show, to book all the celebrities to be on the show? You're not going to have those moments, those monologue moments, those funny moments.
True.
The moments where the audience reacts, the funny things that you can do. I would think you have to do the show in its current format in order to get all the little pieces of it that we love to watch.
Right. And I get that, but I'm just assuming here because I don't know, but the money that you put into having these shows, not just getting the time slot, but for the hosts and all those is it worth it is what I'm saying. And that's what I think the question mark is.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I would think that, they're always making news. They're always, in the spotlight. So people still enjoy parts of it at least.
But I mean, it is a little bit incestuous depending on the channel that you're watching, right? So let's just say Jimmy Kimmel, right? He's on ABC. So then he'll have the Bachelor people on his show. And then, and then of course they'll probably talk about him, and they're all going to be self-promoting, which we understand being in the media. Is it really that people are that tuned in, or is it just these media networks are self-promoting themselves? JR writes in, I used to watch Craig Ferguson, which watch snippets of Colbert, Kimmel, and Fallon. That's another one, Jimmy Fallon. Does anybody like him? I consistently watch John Oliver, and for parody, Gutfeld. Ooh, I don't know if I could sit through that, but I might. I don't care for Corden, but I watch the karaoke segments. That's a great point, though. So the karaoke segments, those always seem to go viral on social media. I don't have to watch James Corden to watch those. I can watch those on Twitter. So again, it doesn't seem... I mean, they're going to be trying something. I guess it's not new because the show existed before, but instead of having another late night talk show host, which follows the same, I would say, cookie cutter type of late night show, right? Format. It's a monologue, and then they do celebrity interviews, and they have some sort of fun game, perhaps. I even say daytime shows. They follow a similar type of format. I will say, I'm trying to think just off the top of my head, daytime side. Is there any really different type of daytime show? I will say, and it's only because my mom loves watching daytime talk shows. Kelly Clarkson, I don't know if you ever watched Kelly. She sings at the beginning of, and she does a cover, which I actually like because it's her kind of twist on whatever song it is. And she gets the song, I believe, from somebody in the audience that's there. And they choose the song. I think that's kind of cool and different. Ellen did the dancing thing, and
she also sings with her guests if they sing, and she has a lot of musicians on. Yeah, and so that's kind of enjoyable.
Yeah. Kimmel, we got a lot of votes for Kimmel. Oh, I don't know that. Ryan says last night's SNL or last Saturday's SNL showed the promise of the new cast. Okay, but again. Send me the clip, Ryan, right? Post it on your Facebook page and I'll watch it because, well, there's no way in HE double hockey sticks I'm staying up that late. I am not. I used to be such a, night owl. And sometimes I still am, only on the weekends though. Yeah. But during the week, I'm lucky if I make it to 10:30. So and then I feel like, God, go to bed.
What is at midnight? Like what is it, a sitcom? Is it a variety show? What are we looking for?
What it was, because again, this is a reboot. It was a 30-minute segment. So it's just 30 minutes to provide information about the internet while it's being scrutinized by amazing comedians. The show consists of clips, GIFs, pictures, etc., that thrive within the dark shadows of what is known as the internet. That's its IMDb description. Do you ever watch?
So it's basically everything that's going on Facebook, Twitter, and social media in a conglomeration presented to you in a half hour.
Right. And with comedians commenting on it.
Okay.
I mean, I might check it. You know what I like about it, actually? 30 minutes. I could probably watch the whole, but again, I'm not staying up late for it unless I'm already up. I didn't know this. SNL comes on at 8:30. Does it come on Hulu Live TV at 8:30? Because that's what I have now. I don't have cable anymore.
I thought it was later than that. All right.
I thought it was 11. No, I thought it was 11 o'clock. My husband's already started to bitch about the Hulu Plus Live TV.
Oh no. Why? Because it's just he has to click different buttons. Is that the problem?
So he looks at me this morning. I love you, honey. He's like, we're getting cable back. And I was like, no, we're not. I was like, you have to give it a chance. You have to give it a chance. Or at least wait a significant amount of time so we can get the new customer freaking rate. But yeah, I'm trying to tell him, you're just not used to watching TV this way.
Right.
But once you get used to it, it'll be no big deal. Like, I don't feel like it's a big deal. And I'm going to say this, and I know I've been having issues. So I've been really invested in trying to figure stuff out, and I have a move. And so I don't have a lot of time to watch TV, but even in the morning, normally I have the TV off when I had DirecTV. I make it a point now to turn on Hulu Plus Live TV, and I bring it with me all over the house because I never had a TV in my room. So when I'm getting ready, it wasn't on. I'd watch crap TV like the Mindy show or whatever. But now I have the news on. Like I watched CNN this morning.
Thanks to you, by the way.
There you go. So I feel like I'm actually more engaged in that way. But yeah, you have to get used to it. I don't even, I should grab his phone. I don't even know if he downloaded the damn app yet because he'll just look at me. I don't have that.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know.
So no, we are giving it a shot.
Just to give it a real try before he says bring the cable back. Because I really think he's not going to miss it.
We're saving $120. I will miss that money, right? If I have to give it back to DirecTV, that ain't happening. Nope. All right. Speaking of things to watch real quickly, just because he's sitting right over my shoulder here, and it's Matthew, my kind of hottie. Paramount has responded to claims that Yellowstone ending with Kevin Costner and Matthew McConaughey is going to start a new show.
Yep.
So apparently Costner, who won a Golden Globe for his role, he is reportedly involved in scheduling conflicts prior to the mid-season finale or that was happening in January. He's also directing a Western flick called Horizon. Now, obviously, he's like the main character, one of the main characters in Yellowstone.
Sure.
And so some people are worried that he's going to bow out. And when you combine this with hints that Matthew McConaughey may get his own spinoff, some people are saying, well, Kevin Costner can kind of ride off into the sunset, as they say, and maybe Matthew McConaughey will take the reins, full of puns, to lead kind of this series or spinoff. How many spinoffs can you have of Yellowstone, though? Don't you think they're a bit quick? I mean,
no, I think you could have a bunch. Yeah. You could have, because as each generation of the family, I think you should have one from, what are we in the 20s
but at the
now?
same time,
go like 40s or 50s. Yeah, because they're shows, they're series that really stand alone, I think. But,
right. You don't have to watch the other one, watch this one type of thing.
Right. But they all interlink in certain ways. They make you understand what's happening, but you don't have to watch all of it. What I thought was interesting about this article regarding Kevin Costner was that he said, I can only give you a week to film the whole season. Whatever you need me for, you've got me for a week. And they're like, okay. So that's a lot. I mean, they have to have everything all planned out far ahead of time. There's no second takes for him. You get in, you get out. So 1 week to film his entire season. That's interesting.
Well, I can't imagine he's going to have too many lines or love scenes or I don't know, or shootouts or something. I don't know. I mean, in 1 week, you got to figure it out. And so the spinoffs are 1883 and 1923. They both end in 3, Kim. That's how you'll remember.
It's 3s. Okay. 1883, 1923.
Yes.
Okay.
So Tim McGraw, Faith Hill are in 1883. Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren are in 1923.
Really good. I'm on episode 5. Episode 6 will come out on Sunday. And I think there's going to be 8 episodes in 1923.
Well, all I'm saying is there's definitely one I will be watching. And that's if and only if my kind of hottie right there is in it. I just love that guy. He gets my blood.
And I wonder it could be another iteration of another generation of the Dutton family on Yellowstone, or it could be he's a different rancher, facing similar struggles. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's just a rumor at this point. But then he could be part of but he'd be perfect for it. I mean,
totally.
He's got that drawl, and I could totally, what doesn't he fit into, in my opinion, people? All right. Okay, so that's our show. You know what I love about our viewers, though, Kim? Even during the show, I've been getting emails, comments about what I could do to fix it.
That's cool.
I think the next thing that I'm going to do, JR, I think we're going to try and talk tomorrow morning before the show. The only other option that I can think of is to pull a new line, the coax cable to the house, which, of course, I'd have to get approval from my landlord to do, but they seem really nice.
I don't think you sounded bad.
Well,
I mean, once
me.
Everything reconnected, everything's been fine. Your video and your audio sound great.
Well, you want to know the truth? I'm on Wi-Fi.
Oh, well,
I've been on Wi-Fi because I could not get the connection.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Oh, say hi, Marlon. My daughter not feeling too well today. We had a down day today.
Okay.
But she had her infusion yesterday. So, and she's been given the green light to eat all foods. This is she tried yesterday, so we might be feeling a little
nice. Way to go, Marley.
Yeah. So, so we'll talk again tomorrow. I don't know what I have planned tomorrow. I've just been so busy, but it's going to be an awesome show. Please, before we go, click that thumbs up button. Support the show. We love it that way. If you can become a monthly subscriber, go to thenikkimedoroshow.com. That's our Patreon link is right there. We also take PayPal at thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. Pick up some merchandise right there. There, that's the t-shirt that you can pick up, a tumbler, a coffee cup, AirPod case, hoodies. We got it all right there. So just go to thenikkimedoroshop.com. I absolutely love you all. Thank you so much for being patient with me. I hope it's better tomorrow, but I'm not making any promises. We'll see how it goes.
Fine. You're going to be
fine. All right. We'll talk tomorrow. Bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.